Today, I am with Mo Anderson. Many of you know her as the former CEO that actually turned Keller Williams around because when she came on board, well, who knew what was happening to Keller Williams? Yet we know once she came on board, it was going up. She has been featured in High Road Leadership, the book that John Maxwell will be presenting to the world in just a few months, and she's written up. In fact, this book is dedicated to her. This is not just a little thing, right? And Mo, your High Road Leadership shows up everywhere for everyone. And we just welcome you today. Thank you so much for being with me.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I love to be around Dianna Kokoszka because she always makes me more.
Well, you are so good. You have become more in so many ways. I want to take you back a little bit because I loved your book. In fact, many of the listeners have read your book and we know your story, yet there's people out there that don't know the story. So I want to take you back to when you were a little girl. You weren't raised around a lot of money.
No, there were no silver spoons in my home. We were what you called Oklahoma poor. We were in a rural community, no electricity, no indoor bathroom, and the house was old, and the rain came in, the snow came in, the varmints came in, the snakes came in, and the rats came in. So you get a picture of that environment. And most of the time on the farm, I worked. But I can't tell you how grateful I am for that childhood in that setting, because now, even though I'm an adult, I just am so thankful for my warm bedroom and the ice that I can pull out of my refrigerator. We didn't have a refrigerator. We finally had an ice box. I bet our listeners aren't old enough to even know what that is.
You know what? I don't know that they would even equate to no indoor plumbing, right? I mean, that means like in the middle of the night, you're up running outside and you were in Oklahoma. That it wasn't warm all the time.
No, it was cold in the winter and hot in the summer and nice in the spring and fall.
Well, Mo, from those humble beginnings, you didn't just accept them. You didn't live a life by default. I know that in your mind you had other ideas. Could you share those with us?
Yes, at the age of 8, I began to dream about having a nice home. And back then, my dream was that the home would be designed and built so snow wouldn't come in, rain, animals, so on and so forth. And it was a small home in my mind because that was awesome to me, to have a pretty small home. Then, as I began to grow up, the home in my head got bigger. But the decision I made when I was quite young, because of our financial situation, I made up my mind that when I grew up, I would not be poor and that I would always make more money than I needed so I could give it away. Because Dianna, in my growing up, I never gave a gift to anyone because I didn't have money and my parents didn't have any. And I didn't get to have a party. I didn't get to go to parties. I didn't have a prom dress. I borrowed a prom dress. Uh, do you get my point?
No. Yes.
I wanted more money than I needed so I could do stuff not only for myself, but I would have money left over to help other people. And
No,
that
Mo,
was the fire that burned in my belly.
what I hear you saying is you wanted to become more. You wanted to be more, do more, have more, and give more. So
Yes.
to bring us up to date for just a moment about this house, what kind of a home do you live in now? Because I've been there, and let me tell you, to me, it rivals the best of homes in the world.
Well, it's beautiful. And by the time we built the home was pretty big. Um, it's beautiful. It's situated on 3.5 acres in a beautiful subdivision. We have a sports court that we built, for the grandkids. We have a little stream on the other end that goes from a fountain, from a wall stream to a koi pond, and then it runs back up and runs again. And then we have a large swimming pool for kids to really swim in. And we got it built. We expected to move in at the age of 70, and 2 months before we moved in, it was struck by lightning and it burned down. And we had to simply start all over. Boy, did I experience dream bullies back then. But I had some dream buddies, so I was okay.
Well, I remember when that happened there at Keller Williams, and you were talking with people, and at one point I recall you saying, maybe I shouldn't have that home.
Well,
What happened in your mind?
well, the dream bullies would tell me that God probably didn't want me to have it, or he wouldn't have let it burn down. A lot of other people, because see, we were 72.5 or 73 when we moved in, and everybody that age is downsizing. And here I am finally getting my dream. And I just don't I just don't have any intention of giving up a dream. But the dream bullies would make me question it. And my dream buddies would say, well, build it again, Mo. You're young. You're only 73. Build it again.
Well,
So
and
we
to
did.
make you feel even younger, you put a soda fountain right in that home. Now, we're not talking just any soda fountain.
We're talking
When
a
was
real one, like you find in a real soda shop.
I'm surprised they don't film movies there from the 1950s, right? Because it is a real soda fountain. In fact, I sat there and had a malt one day, and I felt like I was going back in time, feeling all young again. I think it's a fabulous home. And to start out at 8 years old, dreaming about just a better home, right? And
Mhm.
then the home grew and grew, and it grew to the dream that you had. And you've helped so many people. You've had so many people over. You've had parties. You've given back in such a great way so other people can enjoy that home. Now, I want to take you back once again. Let's say you're around 50, 55 years old. You lost everything in the oil business.
Uh-huh.
And you were going for something, training, helping people. And then this guy, Gary Keller, comes along and talk to us about what happened.
Well, he ended up asking me to come to an event that he was having. He had a consulting company there, and he was calling in a few people to see what they thought about the possibility of him expanding Keller Williams into all of the United States. And it was so funny because when he called and asked me if I would come, I was broke. We were broke. We'd gone through that crash that happened in the late 80s, and we didn't have any money. Our savings was gone. Everything was gone except our house, our humble home that I loved. And I thought, how in the world can I say yes to him? I can't even afford the gas to go to Austin. I can't afford an airplane. I can't afford the hotel. I can't afford to feed myself while I'm there 3 days. And so he kept talking and he said, "Can I count on you to be there?" And I said, "Yes, you can," wondering how in the world I was going to make it happen. So that afternoon, I went to my mailbox. And back in those days, I don't know if this is still true, but back in those days, you got credit cards all the time. Remember how you'd be mailed these credit cards? And so I looked at that credit card, and my mother and dad always taught me, you don't ever use a credit card, you pay cash. They were from the old school. And so I looked at that credit card, and we figured out how much credit was on it, and it was enough for me to get to Austin. So I activated that credit card and I bought me an airplane ticket. I paid for my hotel, my food with that crazy credit card. Now, I didn't know how I was going to pay the credit card back, but I managed to do that because I had a consulting company. We had just sold our real estate company to Merrill Lynch for a huge amount of money. At least it was huge to us. And but all that money was gone because of the crash. And so I went to Austin, and I had no earthly idea how I was going to get there, but the credit card came. And when you're in a corner, you sometimes do things you probably shouldn't do, but I did it, and I am so glad I did it because that's where I learned about the models of KW, of Keller Williams. So I got there and I got home and I paid off the credit card.
You know what? That was a great investment for a lot of people. What I hear you saying is you thought about it, yet your intuition, and because you're a person of integrity, you already said you would be there. So I think the value of integrity won out over just pay cash for everything, right?
Yeah.
And it was a great investment. So you go into Keller Williams, you end up being the CEO and president of Keller Williams, and you brought in some pretty high standards. How did people accept those?
Well, I didn't know that standards hadn't really been established in the company. When I got there, we had 45 offices, and I analyzed the financials on each office, and I thought, oh my word, Gary's going to go broke because these offices, out of the 45, I ended up closing 15 of them. So I brought it down to 30. And when I closed them, I would actually go there, sit down with the owner, look at the owner, he or she, eyeball to eyeball, and I would say, my conscience will not allow you to lose any more money. And I'm afraid that I respect your capital more than you do, because you're just losing money every month and doing nothing about it. So, darling, here is the time of the crossroads. I will give you 30 days to sell your market center. I don't think you have anything to sell other than a copy machine and some furniture. I don't know if you'll find anyone, but if you can, and we approve them, that'll be great. Well, none of them could find a buyer because they didn't have any value. They didn't have very many agents. They didn't have much production. And then I would stay in touch with those people after I booted them out to make and love on them and to make sure they were okay. And weren't they relieved, and weren't they sleeping better at night, and all of that. And so I closed 15 offices. We had 1,800 agents at the time I became CEO. We had fewer when I closed those 15 offices. And then I looked at the regions, and we had, I don't know, 6 or 7 regions, and none of them were, I'm wrong. 2 of them weren't doing anything, and I foreclosed on 5 of the regions out of the 7 because I knew we had the wrong people in place who didn't know how to lead in such a way to build, to become more. And so I was kind of known as the Wicked Witch of the West or East or whichever it is. And then I began to establish standards in the company. And Dianna, it was really interesting because they not only accepted the standards, or most people did, not everybody, but most people did, but they were really proud of the fact that I cleaned house.
Hmm. Well, and you set the standard right there to where if you desire to be part of us, this is what we're going to require. Now, you've always been someone that has kept the main thing the main thing. And I'm excited for you to be in Nashville with us. Tell us what we can expect to learn from the interview, where I'm going to talk with you about the main thing, keeping it the main thing.
Well, to me, the main thing is to maintain the culture of a company. And every company has a culture. Not all of them are values-based. Our culture back then was a totally values-based culture that Gary had designed in the process of putting his company together. It was what drew me to the company. And the main thing was integrity, do the right thing, win-win or no deal. Trust begins with honesty, et cetera, et cetera. So those standards were the main thing. See, I would not have been in integrity if I hadn't gone to our owners and said, my conscience won't let you lose any more money. I'm worried and concerned about you. One of them had used his retirement money, for heaven's sakes. And so the main thing to me is that culture, values-based on truths that never, ever change, because integrity, do the right thing, will be as important 100 years from now as it is today. And when you have values based on truths, you have a great package. And then the other thing I hope they come away with when I'm in with you in Nashville, aren't we in Nashville?
That's right.
Is that you don't ever stop. Maybe at 65, you have a new passion or you have a new dream. I didn't. I loved what I was doing at 65, and here I'll be 87 in May, and I'm still cooking. I'm still going and doing and working like you. You love to help agents. And that's what I love. I love to see people succeed. And knowing that I had a teeny tiny part of that, just thrills my soul. And I want people to know that if you quit, if you stop because you think you're supposed to retire, you're going to miss the best part of your life. Because the best part of life is when you hit your 70s. Hey, my 80s have been good. I've said my 70s happened to be my greatest decade, but let me tell you what, my 80s have come in really strong. And now I'm planning for my 90s, and I want to become more in my 90s. And I just want to see how long the Lord will let me stay on this earth.
I hope it's a long time. You know, Ashley Lunn sent me a post. She just copied it from a lady that is Flo Mealer. Flo Mealer is 89 years old, and she's going to be going for the Masters with 200 other athletes just this Sunday. And can you imagine? She runs the hurdle race. I mean, she's going over hurdles at 89. So you and Flo are living proof that we should never stop. And I think about stopping, you know, after leaving as CEO of MAPS at KWRI, Keller Williams Realty International. I was able to go out and start going on trips with John Maxwell and his team, country to country, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Panama City, Paraguay, Papua New Guinea, 8 or 9 different countries. And we were going in mode, speaking about values and teaching values to kids. They would learn values, implement values, and lead with values. And now we're bringing that into the schools right here in the US. In fact, when you were talking about dream bullies, well, in South Carolina, just 1 year after having this curriculum in their schools, bullying went down 27%, which is helping so many kids because bullying causes anxiety, stress, depression. And from the ages from 15 to 24, suicide is the second cause of death in that age group. So we're helping everyone, and all the profits from this event is going to buy books for kids in our schools. So we're so excited about you being there and the fact that you're not stopping. You're going to be there to help us with culture, with values. And well, you're not just going to speak, you're going to stick around with us, right? And go to some of these things. Yes.
I'm going to be there. I am so excited. And I'm thrilled. I had chilly bumps when you told me the money from this event was going to buy the books for the kids in classes. And just think, how many states is John in now with the
He's
school?
in 3 right now. They're just beta testing in most of the states. And it's the goal to actually have it in all states. And there's another thing that we're doing. It's called Growing Leaders in the High School. And that's another place that we need books, we need curriculum. And of course, with it being John Maxwell Curriculum for Leadership, we already know it's going to be great. And Mo, John is going to meet us there. He's going to be speaking with us about leadership, high road leadership, by the way. We've got Linda McKissick, Dan Stewart, Kane Minkus, who is the leading expert in AI across and around the world. Now, he's right now with Richard Branson on his island, teaching all of his staff AI things that they can do. He says there's over 11,000 ways you can use AI. He's not going to teach us all of those, yet he is going to share a lot of the uncommon things and guarantees that he can give us one entire day back from our work when we use these techniques with AI. We've got Amanda Holmes with the Ultimate Sales Machine. She says she's going to give us a blueprint for success to double your business, a blueprint that's been used successfully with 250,000 other companies. Now, Mo, why do you think people should attend this event besides the profits go to nonprofits?
I think it's important to attend because this is where you learn how to be more. Well, you read your book And then when you're around people who have become so much, you learn how to be more and how to do more and how to be more effective. And I am so excited to be able to sit back and listen to these amazing people who have been your mentors. Some of them have been your mentors for years. And so thank you, Dianna, for putting this together. Thank you. Thank you. I am really looking forward to learning.
Well, we're
And you know
excited about
what?
you
I'm
teaching.
going to learn till I drop dead.
Well, you know what? I like what Gandhi said. You've got to live like you'll die tomorrow, but learn like you'll live forever, right? And that's what you do each and every day. We're going to see a lot of people there. We trust the people listening or watching this that you'll join Mo and I right there in Nashville, March 25th and 26th. Go to the site more, M-O-R-E, training.com. We have 10 great speakers that are going to be pouring into you. And VIPs, it's going to be a lot like Recharge. You're going to have 3 surprise events. Yep, there's surprises. You won't be disappointed. And Mo, I'm so excited to see you in Nashville. See y'all there.
Okay, bye. Love you, Dianna.
Love you too.